The Malankara Thoma Syrian Church of Malabar, also known as the Thoma Church, is an ancient Syriac Christian community based in the state of Kerala in southwestern India. It is one of the St. Thomas Christian churches, tracing its origins to the evangelistic activity of Thomas the Apostle in the 1st century. Most Christian churches around the world are of either the Western or the Eastern tradition. In turn, Eastern churches are divided into many traditions, one of which is the Syriac tradition, divided into the West Syrian Rite and the East Syrian Rite. The Thoma Syrian Church follows a variant of the West Syrian tradition and bases its teachings on fundamental biblical teachings. The Thoma Church is an autonomous Oriental church with Syriac High Church traditions and eclectic characteristics from the era of the Reformation. The Church defines itself as apostolic in origin, universal in nature, biblical in faith, evangelical in principle, ecumenical in outlook, Oriental in worship, democratic in function, and episcopal in character. The Church emerged from a cleansing movement on scriptural principles within the Malankara Church. The confluence movement of Eastern traditions and Western Reformation began in 1836. A Malankara Church clergyman Abraham Malpan abjured his traditional understandings through sharing of ideas with the missionaries and instituted changes independently at his parish in Maramon. He roughly translated the Holy Kurbana service into minimalist form, from the traditional Syriac to the local Malayalam language. This led to a rift within the church's hierarchy. When Thoma XII, who was antagonist to reforms in Malankara, was reigning, Malpan's nephew was sent by the Reformation group to be consecrated as a metropolitan bishop by the Syriac Orthodox Patriarch. In 1843, nephew returned as the leader of the Malankara Church, which later led in establishing authoritatively an independent church in the order of apostolic succession with indigenous Christian heritage known as the Malankara Thoma Syrian Church of Kerala until the beginning of 20th century. Marthamites lived in a few districts of central Travancore and Kunnamkulam in Kerala. Since that time it has spread with the 20th century Indian diaspora to North America, Europe, the Middle East, Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, Australia and New Zealand, and currently has around 500,000 members in Kerala, and another 50,000 throughout the diaspora. Their mother tongue is Malayalam, the language of Kerala. The members of the church are known commonly as Nazaranis, Navikana Suryani, or as Marthamakar. Definitions. Malankara is the ancient name derived from the name Malayankara, Malayankara Island on the southwestern side of Indian peninsula. It was between Gokarnam and Kanyakumari, the southern point of India. Kerala, the present southwestern state of India, is only a part of Malankara. It is also thought to be a cognate of this name Malayankara, a place near Musaris where Thomas the Apostle first landed in Kerala. Marthoma or Marthoma is Aramaic, means Saint Thomas. Members of this church are often referred to as Marthamites or Thoma Syrians. Syrian Church. The original liturgical language used in Malankara Church was Aramaic and Hebrew. Later it was changed to Syriac. In 1898, during the reign of Titus I Marthoma, the church decided to extend its name as Malankara Thoma Syrian Church to comprise its order and heritage. Administration. The Malankara Thoma Syrian Church has a well-defined constitution and has a democratic pattern of administration. There is an episcopal synod, a grand assembly known as Thoma Syrian I Sabha Prataniya Mandalam, a council to aid the metropolitan in administrative matters, and a Vaidika selection committee to select candidates for the ministry of the church. Each diocese has its own council and an assembly. The assembly members are elected by the individual parishes, and the council members by the assembly. All members of a parish are members of Edavaka Sangam, and they also have the right to elect their representatives to the diocesan assembly in Prataniya Mandalam. The title of the head of the church is Marthoma, and is addressed as Marthoma Metropolitan. He is installed from among the duly consecrated bishops of the Church, the choice being ordinarily that of the senior-most among them. The present Mar Thoma Metropolitan is the Most Reverend Joseph Mar Thoma, who resides at Jayarathina Church headquarters in Tiruvalla, Kerala. He is the 21st Mar Thoma in the line of continuation after the re-establishment of Mar Thoma episcopacy after Oath of Coon and Cross. If the Metropolitan is personally satisfied that he has difficulty to continue to perform the duties appertaining to his office, he may relinquish the powers and responsibilities as the Metropolitan. Then he becomes the senior Mar Thoma Metropolitan and is addressed as Mar Thoma Valia Metropolitan. The present Mar Thoma Valia Metropolitan is the Most Reverend Philippos Mar Chrysostom Valia Metropolitan, Marthomaxx. To assist the Metropolitan there are episcopos, the senior-most among them is called the suffragan Metropolitan. Administrative divisions for administrative purpose. The Malankara Mar Thoma Syrian Church is divided into 13 dioceses, or popularly called as Badrasanims W.E.F. The 1st of January 2010, headed by a Metropolitan or by an Episcopa. They are: Diocese of Ador, Diocese of Malaysia, Australia, Singapore, New Zealand, Diocese of Chenggana Mavelikara, Diocese of Niranam Maramon, Diocese of Rani Nilakal, Diocese of Tiruvananthapuram Kollam, Diocese of Kottrakara Punalur, Diocese of Kottayam Kochi, Diocese of Chennai Bangalore, Diocese of Kunnamkulam Malabar, Diocese of Delhi, Diocese of Mumbai, Diocese of North America Europe. Proposed divisions: Diocese of North America, Diocese of Europe, Diocese of Middle East. Metropolitans and bishops. Present Episcopal Synod. The present members of the Episcopal Synod of Mar Thoma Church are H.G. Philippos Mar Chrysostom Mar Thoma Valia Metropolitan, H.G. Joseph Mar Thoma Metropolitan, the R.T. Rev. Zacharias Mar Theophilus Suffragan Metropolitan, the R.T. Rev. G. Varghese Mar Athanasius Suffragan Metropolitan, the R.T. Rev. G. Varghese Mar Theodosius Episcopa, the R.T. Rev. Joachim Mar Corilos Episcopa, the R.T. Rev. Joseph Mar Barnabas Episcopa, the R.T. Rev. Thomas Mar Timotheos Episcopa, the R.T. Rev. Isaac Mar Philoxenus Episcopa, the R.T. Rev. Abraham Mar Paulus Episcopa, the R.T. Rev. Matthews Mar Macarios Episcopa, the R.T. Rev. Gregorios Mar Stephanos Episcopa, the R.T. Rev. Thomas Mar Thethos Episcopa. Mar Thoma Metropolitans of Malankara Throne: Mar Thoma I, Mar Thoma II, Mar Thoma III, Mar Thoma IV, Mar Thoma V, Mar Thoma VI, Mar Thoma VII, Mar Thoma VIII, Mar Thoma IX, Mar Thoma X, Pulikottal Mar Dionysius, Mar Thoma Shi, Punathraji Vargas Mar Dionysius, Mar Thoma 12, Chepitur Philippos Mar Dionysius, Mar Thoma 13, Matthews Mar Athanasius Metropolitan, Mar Thoma 14, Thomas Mar Athanasius Metropolitan, Mar Thoma 15, Titus I Mar Thoma Metropolitan, Mar Thoma 16, Titus II Mar Thoma Metropolitan, Mar Thoma 17, Abraham Mar Thoma Metropolitan, Mar Thoma 18, Yohanan Mar Thoma Metropolitan, Mar Thoma 19, Alexander Mar Thoma Metropolitan, Mar Thoma XX, Philippos Mar Chrysostom Mar Thoma Metropolitan, Mar Thoma 21, Joseph Mar Thoma Metropolitan. For the consecrations, from 1917 onwards bishops from other churches were invited as guests, but the consecration was done only by the Metropolitan assisted by the other Metropolitans of the Mar Thoma Church and of the Malabar Independent Syrian Church. Deceased bishops: the R.T. Rev. Thomas Athanasius Suffragan Metropolitan was consecrated by Yohanan Thoma Metropolitan on 23 May 1953, at Tiruvalla. died on the 27th of November 1984 and was interred at SC Pali, Tiruvala. The RT. Rev. Matthews Athanasius Episcopa was consecrated by Titus II Thoma Metropolitan on 30 December 1937, died on 23 September 1973 and was interred at SC Pali, Tiruvala. The RT. Rev. Esau Timotheos Episcopa was consecrated by Yohanan Thoma Metropolitan on 8 February 1975. Died on the 11th of April 1988 and was interred at SC Pali, Tiruvala. Clergy Semisan. The Sabha Pratania Mandalam elects a Vaidika selection board to select candidates for the ministry of the Church through recommendations, exams and pre- and post-theological training interviews, following a LDS Church tradition and from diasporic influence. The Church follows a compulsory 12-month unpaid missionary service to those who are inclined to be a priest, before selection processes of Tithe of Youth program for evaluation purposes. Additionally, this program was challenged in youth meets of the Church at the time of its conception on the basis of non-guarantee in entry, fast-changing world, career stagnation, and other economic factors, and have arrived at a discussion-level resolution of implementing this process after the pursuit of their theological training and integrating their deacon status during the time period under mentorship. This enables the Church to fill up NGOs, projects and mission fields with trained and theologically equipped individuals for staff duties and pastoring, thus avoid stress and negligence that would be otherwise imparted on the youth. During the intensive field trainings, when the inclined candidate is counted to be worthy for controlled influx in church duties, the trained and experienced deacons can be nominated for ordinations as cassesses by each diocese as the allotment. Cassessor. Persons receiving ordination as ministers shall be duly ordained deacons. They all have had their Bachelor of Divinity degree from the Thoma Theological Seminary, Kottayam, Kerala, or from other recognized theological seminaries of India. The wife of a Kassisa is known as Baskiyama, and is often addressed as Kochama, Vicars General. From among the clergy who have completed 25 years of service in the ordained ministry and not less than 60 years of age are selected according to the contributions and ordained as vicars general. In the absence of the diocesan bishop, they may be appointed as deputy head of the bishopric. History. 1st century BC, on the southwestern side of the Indian peninsula, between the mountains and the Erythraean Sea, stretching from Kannur to Kanyakumari, was the land called Cherarajam, which was ruled by local chieftains. Later this land came to be known as Malabar, and Muziris was the important entry port. After the discovery of Hippolytus, every year 100 ships arrived here from various parts of the then-known world, including Red Sea ports. During the time of Moses and King Solomon, the Malabar coast traded spices and luxury articles with Israel. Excavations carried out at Patanam from 2005 provided evidence that the maritime trade between Kerala and the Mediterranean ports existed even before 500 BC or earlier. It is possible that some of those traders who arrived from the west, including Jews, remained in Kerala. While Augustus Caesar was the emperor of Rome and Herod the Great was king of Judea, ambassadors from Malabar visited the Emperor Augustus. An account of Nicolaus of Damascus, Nazranus, believed that these ambassadors were the wise men from the east, of the Bible, as a tradition. Arrival of St. Thomas. St. Thomas. Christians believe that Thomas the Apostle arrived in Kerala around AD 52. He landed at Muziris, after his first mission in the Parthian Empire, during the era of King Gondophares, to support the spiritual needs of Bene Israel. It is believed that St. Thomas itinerated for 30 years in Kerala and proceeded to the east coast of India from Malankara and died a martyr's death at a place called Mylapurchanamalai in Tamil Nadu. The Jews and a few of the wise men, who had been to Bethlehem to worship Jesus, listened to his preaching and became followers of Jesus of Nazareth. The Nazarenes in Malabar were either proselytized from mainstream Judaism by Mar Thomas or Mar Bartholomew. Pantanius's reference to the gift of Gospel of Matthew in Hebrew, by Bartholomew to the Nazarenes in Malabar is a clear pointer to the fact that Mar Thomas did evangelize Malabar. It could be further stated that either Mar Nathaniel aided in Mar Thomas' mission in India for a brief time before heading to Armenia, or Bar Taumar, son of Thomas, assisted in his father's missionary activities. Lev 21-7, which could also explain why most of the priests in the Order of St. Thomas were later allowed to be married, which led to the prerogative of sacerdotalism to certain groups, families and to peoples supported by them. First Christians in early Christian times, Nazranis were not a separate religion, but a sect in the Jewish community. The term was used to denote followers of Jesus of Nazareth. Christianos was initially used largely to refer non-Jewish people who followed Christ. In Kerala, the sect was known as Nazrani Margam. Margam in Malayalam means the way. Thus, the word Nazrani clearly shows that many who joined them were Jews. But in Kerala this name was replaced by the word Christians in the 20th century. The earliest families within the Jewish community to accept the path of Christianity through St. Thomas later intermarried with the ethnic local community and Brahmins of the 6th century. This led to the upbringing of marginal class or Sambandam Brahmanic family clans like Parkalo Mattam, Sankara Puri and Kali to a different socio-economic status. They are now widely accepted as the first families who adopted an emigre way of life or Christianity in Kerala. According to recent DNA research by Dr. Mini Karyappa, a significant number of Syrian Christians and Nanayas share their ancestral roots with the West Eurasian gene pool of Jews. First 15 centuries administration. The Malankara Church believes that St. Thomas appointed elders at every place he preached to lead the believers. He prayed and laid his hands upon them, in the same way as the other disciples did. This was the system used till the arrival of Portuguese. By 1500, Malankara Church had parish elders and a church leader. Before the arrival of Portuguese, Latin was unknown to Malankara people. In the decrees of the Synod of Udayampur presented to the St. Thomas Christians in their mother tongue Malayalam, Malankara Moopan was the name used to refer the church leader, except on 3 occasions. For the first time in 1653 the church leader was given the title Marthoma. The present head of the Marthoma Church is the 21st Marthoma Pantarinus from Alexandria in the 2nd century AD. Pantarinus, the philosopher and missionary sent by Bishop Demetrius of Alexandria to India, found that there were many Christians in India with a Persian bishop and that they had a copy of the Gospel according to Matthew in Aramaic. These Christians were the early evangelists of Malankara Church. Arrival of Nanaya Nazarenus during the time of King Shapur II of Persia. A group of 400 immigrants from Persia arrived in Malabar under the leadership of merchant Knai Toman. They were engaged in trade and settled down in Kodungalur. Another immigration from Persia occurred around 825 under the leadership of Persian merchant Marwan Sabriso, with 2 bishops, Marsapro and Marprod. Together they were known as Nanaya, Kanai people. They continued to remain partially in an endogamous group within the Nazrana community. They cooperated with the Malankara Church, attended worship services together but remained a separate identity. By the 10th century, in Malabar there were 2 Nazrena groups, the St. Thomas Christians and Nanaya community. Bishops from Persia. Following the arrival of Christians from Persia, the bishops, priests or laymen began visiting them. Most of them were not able to return due to financial difficulties and traveling long distances. The Knanaya people were worshipping together with the St. Thomas Christians, so these visitors also attended these services. It was a matter of ongoing dispute between different churches in Kerala whether the Syrian bishops had any administrative responsibility or jurisdiction over the St. Thomas Nazarene Christians. Persian crosses were in churches once attended by Knanaya Nazaranis. Out of 5 Persian crosses, 2 are in Kottayam, Knanaya Valley. According to the archaeologists, the earliest one was made in the 7th century. The cross became a symbol of Christianity in the West during the time of Constantine. St. Thomas Christians of Malabar had hardly any contact with other Christians before the arrival of Knanaya people from Persia. Moreover, 2 of the oldest church buildings that still exist in South India do not have any marking of a cross on their original structure. So most probably it was during the 7th century that the cross became a symbol of St. Thomas Christians. Visits corroborating the existence of the Malankara Church. The existence of this church in early centuries is evident in the writings of ancient travelers. 325 AD, it is recorded that there was a Syro-Chaldean bishop, John, from India and Persia, who assisted at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. 522 AD, an Egyptian monk, Cosmas Indicopalistus, in his writings, Universal Christian Topography, mentions that there was this church with a bishop from Persia. 883 AD, Alfred the Great, King of Wessex, England, reportedly sent gifts in India to St. Thomas and to St. Bartholomew, through Sielm, Bishop of Sherborne. 1225 AD, Chao Jukua, a Chinese traveller, visited Kerala. 1282 AD, Kublai Khan, Emperor of China, sent an emissary to Kollam. It was followed by an emissary from Kollam under the leadership of a St. Thomas Christian. 1292 AD, Marco Polo, on his return journey from China, visited Kerala, mentions that the people are idolaters, though there are some Christians and Jews among them. Collection of deeds. The rulers of Kerala, in appreciation of their assistance, had given to the Malankara Nazarenes 3 deeds on copper plates. These are known as chepeds, royal grants, sazanam, etc. 5 sheets of them are now in the custody of the Malankara Thoma Syrian Church headquarters at Tiruvalla. A Ravi Quartan deed. In the year 774 AD, Sri Vira Raghava Chakravarti gave a deed to a Ravi Quartan of Mahadeva Pattanam. Teresa Pali Di Perumal Stanu Ravi Gupta gave a deed in 849 AD to Isodata Vire for Teresa Pali at Kurakani Kollam. According to historians, this is the first deed in Kerala that gives the exact date. Teresa Pali Deed 2. A continuation of the above deed was given sometimes after in 849 AD.